Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Carrie Linklater, and I am your chairperson today, and I am joined via Zoom by panel members, Mr. Bill Moretsky and Ms. Valerie Werhan. Our city assessor this afternoon is Mr. Justin Mikulak, and our recording secretary is Ms. Belen Rojo. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparison of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board. The matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. This afternoon, we will be hearing items 1 through 8 on the docket. And Ms. Rojo, would you please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony?
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Justin Mikulak.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Henry DuPont.
And do you affirm the evidence you're about to present at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. DuPont and Mr. Mikulak. We will go to the first item on our docket this afternoon, which is 2 Windmill Way. And Mr. Mikulak, I understand by looking at this item, you've got a recommendation.
Yes, I do have a recommendation. Would you like me to read in the file number first?
Yes, please.
Okay. So file number 22-2131. Roll number 01005162100. We have a recommendation to reduce the value to $23,091,000.
Would you like to speak to your page 8, where you made the changes?
Yeah, it was just utilizing the property's reported income and expense, and realizing that we were a little too high, and so I came in with that recommendation.
All right, I thank you. And Mr. DuPont, are you willing to accept the recommendation on this property?
I lost my report. I gotta find it now. Okay, I found it. So long, I gotta turn it. So what's the recommendation again?
23,091, like 91,000, 23,091,000. And I see it's not an issue of cap rate either, so it would just be a difference in the income, I guess you might have still, but
Uh, Okay, I'll accept that.
So you're verbally accepting the recommendation, Mr. Dupont?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I thank you. And Ms. Warehan, did you have any questions regarding this item?
None at this time, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Moretsky?
Yes, you said you looked at the client's income and expenses and changed your decision. Is that what you said?
yeah, correct.
Is that on your presentation?
Yeah,
The
like,
The
well,
actual?
yeah, like page 8 would have, you could see on page 9, I just included their statement of income. And then I used that to just compare against our model where I felt, you know, we were too high. So that's where the recommendation came from.
Okay. And you just looked at that today or yesterday then, or?
What's that? Yeah.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mikulak, I just want to confirm that you reduced the NOI to 1,269,982, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I thank you both for that. We will move on to item number 2 on the docket, 21 Newdale Avenue. Mr. Mikulak, whenever you are ready.
Okay, so we have file number 22-1455, roll number 0306 0300 roll year 2023, assessed value 6,274,000. Classification 20, liability is T taxable. We have a 5-story apartment building built in 1976 with 68 suites. You can see scrolling on to page 2 where the location is on Newdale, which is down in the Richmond West neighborhood, just west of Pembina Highway, just south or just north off the perimeter that's running there. So pretty good area, close to lots of public transportation, retail, the university, etc. There was a sale in May of 2018 for $7,650,000 where they bought it off Manitoba Housing. And number of units, the breakdown being 62 bedroom, 8 1-bedroom. The average monthly rent per unit we have is $902.84. And then you can see here the breakdown of how we come up with our value. So you can see where we have our gross potential rent, our expense rate, to come up with net operating income of $323,104. And then a capitalization rate of 5.15% to come up with the estimated market value. Now, this is a social housing property. So when we go and compare the rents on where they fall relative to CMHC data, you could see on page 4 at the bottom, I have CMHC October 2020 rents. And so I weighted that against the zone 11 market. And then you can see further on page 5 that our income on this property is coming in at 30% below full market. So we've taken into account the type of property that it is. And then you could see on page 4 with the rental comparables even, you can see how we're coming in below other properties in the area for rents. So we believe just based on that, we feel pretty comfortable that we've accounted for the factors of the type of property that it is by having them on the discounted market income. Now, touching on our capitalization rates on page 6. So we are dealing with multifamily here. And so you could see where we fall in with our assessment model, with the bulk of our properties falling between 4.8 to 5.6%. And that would be the 20th and 80th percentiles. So 60% of the parcels would fall within that range. And then further to validate our assessment model, we have provided some sales on page 7 just to include the range of the caps, and they don't necessarily pertain to the site-specific property that we're talking about today, but it does validate the range of where our model fits in. And then just page 9, I had included their income statement from the property. You could see the subsidies that they got in period ending March 2021, 414,636 of rental subsidies. So that is why I had produced the chart back on page 5, just measuring our model potential rent, because we can't use their actuals in place due to the type of property that it is. So we feel that the fact we're 30% below market on the income, we feel that it's reasonable enough where we are with the value on this one. So that would be all for my presentation today.
I thank you. Mr. Dupont, your questions?
Yes, your comparable rent page, which is page 4.
Mhm.
So none of those are social housing, naturally.
No.
2390 Pembina, 2393 Pembina, that's a Phoenix property, is that correct?
I don't know exactly. I just selected the rent comparables that came about.
So would you agree that virtually all 4 of these properties have quite a bit work done to them? They're being updated upon turnover, and that the reason for their high rents is because they have a higher repair maintenance and a higher finish.
I mean, I guess if that's what you had found, I mean, I'm just trying to compare the overall market and then backed up with my CMHC analysis. So I didn't really look into renovations on these comparables.
Or updates upon turnover. Then your CMHCs, you do the rent by zone. They also have rent by number of units, and they also have rent by age. You did not get the other 2 types of rent from CMHC?
I did not.
So that zone 11 is for all age groups, is that correct? For
It
CMHC?
encompasses, yeah, CMHC rental data for Fort Garry market region.
So the 2-bedroom that has for CMHC at $1,321, would you agree that seems to be quite high?
I mean, if that's what CMHC data shows, I mean, we're gonna go with that, so.
For your cap rates, you did the page 6. That's where you show the broker's report. And you show your low rise, you have 4.8 to 5.6, and the subject's 5.15, so it's less than the higher cap rates, somewhere in between, or even towards below the average.
I would say it falls in the middle.
And the broker's reports are 5 to 6%, and you're 5.15, so you're at the low end of the range. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's all questions I have.
Thank you. Ms. Wareham, any questions to the assessor?
Not at this time, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moretsky?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
So, Mr. Michalak, this is all model driven,
Correct.
correct? Thank you. Did you have a chance to inspect this property?
I did not.
Okay, so you are unable to speak to the condition of this property then?
My only thing I can say with condition is it's probably upkept to a reasonable standard to meet the social housing demands. I don't know though if it's been like really upgraded with the amenities inside, like the kitchen or flooring, that type of thing. But from a mechanical standpoint and a maintenance standpoint, these buildings would have to be maintained.
Okay, just because you've got an effective age of 1976 on the property, as
Yeah.
stated in your brief.
Yeah, so the effective age and the actual year built are the same, so we don't have any change there.
Right. Do you have anywhere in your notes when it was last inspected?
I do not.
All right, I thank you. And just in regards to your cap rate, your properties that you showed for your cap rate evidence on page 7 of your brief, are any of those properties social housing?
They are not.
All right. I thank you for your brief. Mr. Dupont, if you would like to proceed, please.
Yes, so I have a rebuttal to the assessor's report. I have a cap rate study and I have the subjects. I'd like to present all 3 in a row. If that's
Okay, but first I'd like to hear your brief and we'll have questions and then we can hear your rebuttal.
Right, and the cap rate. Okay. So to start the brief, can you go to the appendix, page 25, which addresses the sale price? So Mataba Housing sold the same properties. They sold 3 properties. They gave a capital allowance of 2.7 million, and they gave a forgivable loan 7.5 million. And the loan is 20 to 25-year amortization. And the condition to forgive the loan is that they keep it as social housing as long as they have the loan. So that they sold it for, in essence, close to 11 million less than what it shows at the land titles. So then the spreadsheet they have, which page 15. So the forgivable loan is 25% of the sale price. So that's the forgivable loan to start with. Then there's the capital allowance that they have, so that they sold for a lot less. We could take the sale price less the percentages for capital and the forgivable loan to get the value. I did not do it in this one. So if you go to the first page, you'll see the photo. So it's a 5-story with balconies. Then the area. So it is in Fort Garry area. So Municipal Housing has some properties all over Winnipeg. So this one's
Excuse me, Mr. DuPont. I'm just going to interrupt you for a moment. You're sort of fading out. It's a little difficult to hear you.
If you move your mic down a little bit.
yeah. So is this better?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, it was just a little bit off. All right, so location is good. So then we can go to the cap rate portion, page 13. The cap rate that Altus has for this age group, it's 1960 and 1998, 1 to 5 stories, 5.5%. So that would be from our cap rate study. And those cap rates we have for all these different age groups are the same amount that we had settled the 2020 assessments at the municipal board. For factor, we add 0.5% because it's social housing. So the condition and quality would be lower. And just budget finishes. So the social housing, they do not or they cannot give the same finish that they do in the private universe. So the spreadsheet is on page 15. So if you see the on top, it shows it has 68 parking versus 68 suite, which is good, and the suite size are relatively good also. 66,000 gross floor area to 68 suite. Line 13, we agree with the assessors rent. The actual rent, or actual income with the subsidies is close to that. So we agree with that. Then we do the site-specific analysis of the expenses. And so we stabilize that at normal. The one we do more analysis is line 27, repair maintenance. We had the 4 years are shown. We stabilized 1,054, which is relatively low. These type ages that 2293 Pembina, one of the comparables would be close to 2,000 per suite repair maintenance. The next page, page 16, is the analysis of repair maintenance. So it shows the first 4 items, or the items are usually capital expenditures unless they're small amounts. So like we allow repairs on the roof, but not replacement of the roof. But we did not allow any. There's very little capex they had up there. Windows and doors and pool parking, there's no expenses there. Appliance replacement, that we show what it is for each of the years. The 4-year average we have, there's only $32 per suite versus our maximum of $225. We have a 224, there's a typo. The flooring is not shown. So flooring, they would likely show it maybe under general building, but that's also low, $59 per suite. Remaining R&M is 140. All items could include flooring. That's also low. So we would say that the flooring and appliances replacement is very low. The painting is 152, which is maybe 2/3 what maximum would be. We've allowed some of the high exteriors repairs. Our maximum 500 to 225, etc. Those come from the costs that we obtained from K4, where they gave us the cost to replace flooring and appliances for actual costs that they gave us. And then we divided that 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 50/50, and we took it 8-year life. So if they replace it more often than an 8-year cycle, it would exceed $500, and we would max it out at the maximum. So it's a benchmark. Then the next page also, we have extraordinary repairs, and they show some for 2020 at 13,800, and they show some flooring and some appliance, $52 and $98 for those. So they show some item separately as extraordinary repairs, and we stabilize at 339. on top of the 1054. And if you go to the previous page, page 15, line 27, the repair maintenance 1054, and the reserve expenditures be stabilized at 339. And then we put that in, and the expenses stabilized as 409, 918 versus the assessor 382. So there's a difference in our NOI, net income. And so we have a lower net income. And the cap rate, we use 6% versus the assessor 5.15. The 2020 board revision rule on 6.5 cap rate for this property. And as per previous pages, I had indicated the normal for this age group would be 5.5, and we had 0.5% to the being a social housing, and lower condition, lower quality, and the repair maintenance indicate that it is also on the low side. So that's my submission on this. Then I would have the cap rate and cap rate rebuttal following this. Thank you.
Mr. Dupont, I'm just going to remind you that we are not considering previous board orders. Or
No,
information.
yeah, it's up to you. I just put that in there, and you can consider what you want, or give whatever weight you want.
Mr. Mikulik, do you have questions?
Yeah, so just if you go to, hold on 1 second here. Just the page 25 in your appendix here, who provided this document?
Sam, they did that for a while back when we first did the appeals in 2020, and they gave us the statement of adjustments.
The value here regarding 21 Newdale, the sworn value had indicated 7.650 million. So would you agree that they would have had an appraisal done prior to purchasing this?
Doubt it. It was MHRC directly to Sam, and they wrote the statement of adjustment this way. So the actual money that transacted, that exchange, was the sale price less the two allowances for forgivable loans and capital improvements.
So the fact that they put a sworn value of 7,650,000 doesn't mean anything then?
It means absolutely nothing. At the municipal board, they had ruled before they don't use sworn values. It's not an actual transaction. The actual transaction is shown in the statement of adjustment.
So you're saying Manitoba Housing wouldn't be selling at market value on their properties?
I never said that. Sworn value is not indicative, so therefore it does not mean it's not market value. They sold. Actual transaction was sold, was a bit unusual because private universities do not give credits and forgivable loans. But this one they did. So it's a social housing that sold, and the way they sold is because they give a capital allowance because your condition would warrant those, as well as a forgivable loan, in order to keep it as social housing for as long as the mortgage exists.
Page. So just regarding page 13 with the capitalization rates, so wouldn't you agree though that we're being well below CMHC market income already, that we factored in a lot of these negative risks of social housing, budget finishes, etc., and we don't need another premium on the cap rate?
We have decisions from the municipal board in the appendix that shows that they gave a cap rate premium for the risk and buying a property that has lower condition, lower quality. You recognize that in the rent, but you also recognize it in the cap rate.
So those decisions at the municipal board, though, were like, did they already factor in that we were below income quality to begin with, or like how long ago was that?
They're in the appendix. Sorry, I forgot to include it in the appendix. We normally have them for MHRC. It was they establish the rent at market level, like they do for all properties, and especially social housing. And then they gave it on top of that a cap rate premium. I believe those decisions were something like 1% premium.
Okay.
But it was older decisions, the 90s maybe.
Okay, so those rents though were factored in at market levels, not with this, we are well below market. Would you agree?
No, I'm saying the municipal board gave it the market level for the condition it was. It didn't give it the rent for another property. They give it the market rent for the specific property in front of the board. You give whatever you think the rent will be. And then there was also a cap rate premium given.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I'm just going to remind both of you that the panel will not be taking into consideration orders that were made by another panel previously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Warehan, did you have any questions for Mr. DuPont?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Moretsky?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. DuPont, I just have one question. Did you have a chance to inspect this property?
No, I did not.
Okay. Were you able to speak to a manager or any person thereof in terms of the condition?
No, I did not.
All right. I thank you. Do either of you have a wish for a summation on the property? Oh, I think Mr. DuPont, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I think Mr. DuPont had some rebuttal he wished to present.
Okay.
His cap rate study, correct, Mr. DuPont?
Yeah, the cap rate and the rebuttal. So if you can find the cap rate, I believe it's called R7. So everybody got the cap rate, or?
Yes, this is
Study?
the cap rate study for the apartments.
Yes.
All right, if you'd like to proceed.
Okay, so I'll summarize it. So there's 162 pages, mainly because we got 10 cap rates. We had the background information on each property with the financial statements and pro formas and whatever. We have the analysis to show how we arrived at them. And versus the assessor, which does not have a cap rate study, you just have the half a page. And then what we've added at the end is page 161 and page 162. So if you can just go to the last two pages. So the page 161 is a rebuttal from the assessor that they have been giving us. And I have just a few pages above showing the date that it was given to us. The city in green on that page shows their calculation of the cap rate on our comparables. So the first one, 2390 McPhillips, we had 5.59, the assessor at 4.79. The next one, Corden, we had 5.73, the assessor at 5.74. It goes down the list. So that they're calculations. So maybe they change on some of them, but in the end, it did not matter, because if you look at their last page, it shows what our cap rate was, what the city cap rate is, and the last column is what the Altus cap rate is for the age group. So in essence, when the assessor stabilize let's see, 277 lying side of 6.1 instead of 6.2. It doesn't really matter because our cap rate is 5.5 for that age group. La Vérendrye makes a difference because the 5.74 versus 5.1.01. But Balmoral does not make a difference. Their recalculation is the cap rate. All support our cap rate estimate for that age group. So basically, aside from the new properties, which built 2006 and newer, that's the first 4 comparable. We're in virtual agreement. The assessors recalculations of our cap rate that basically agree with our cap rate. And I don't believe we have a new property here in the docket today. So the differences that we have in the new properties don't matter for this property. And I believe this docket. Then I also have the rebuttal. And I have to find it. It's a rebuttal. The first rebuttal is on the 2390 McPhillips. That's a newer property. And for these hearings today, it doesn't matter because I don't think we have any new properties today. So then we can skip to page 3 of our submission. So Summerhill St. Mary's, the property was bought with the intention to renovate as per enclosed letter from property manager D7. Purchaser was first-time buyer. Property was in rough shape, with previous owner doing nothing for repair. So basically,
I don't know what page we're looking at right now. Can you?
page 3 of the rebuttal.
It's page 4, actually.
Yes, page 4, the Adobe page 4, but our page 3. So we did not have the same. So are you in a rebuttal report?
Yeah, rebuttal. Is it the chart?
No,
Looking at?
no, it's 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
So if it would be Adobe page 4.
All right.
If you're looking at the top there to get those pages.
I got it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So we asked the assessor to provide the financial statements for Summerhill St. Mary's. They did not. So if they did, you would see that the repair maintenance is low. You would see the rents are low. The owner bought for the intention to renovate and to fix the property up. The next comparable the assessor has 32 Arden. We have data showing that the laundry income is missing for 2018. They had it for 2016, 2017, the questionnaire, but then it disappeared. And the vendor advised me that they start to collect their own laundry. And it did not go to the property manager of Sussex. So the assessor's cap rate's got some data or income missing, as well as there's an ad from the purchaser saying they had renovated the building. So they had bought it with the intention to renovate. And we had an order shown also where the board said was improper to use cap rates when the purchaser intends to renovate. They did say the renovations have to be significant. And so therefore we can always argue as to what is significant. But the principle is if the buyer is not buying it with the existing income stream because they intend to change it, then it's not a proper cap rate. So that's my rebuttal. I have that letter from D7 following and the IEs and the municipal board order and in this document also. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Michalek, did you have any questions regarding this information?
Okay, just so I'm clear, do I present rebuttal on his cap rate study first, or do I ask questions about his rebuttal? I'm just, because a couple areas were covered here.
All right. No, we're going to just ask questions here. And do you have rebuttal?
Well, I do have some rebuttal to the cap rate study, just on one of the properties. I guess he was talking about at 215 La Vérendrye.
Okay, so we're just going to ask questions now, and if you want to speak verbally to that property afterwards, we'll hear it. Thank you.
Okay. Just so it just seems like here, I guess, for the purpose of this discussion, the property at 700 St. Mary's. So it says here he has done some renovations to the common areas of the building, such as repainting the halls and replacing the carpeting. That constitutes not including the sale as a renovation.
So you're reading from page 14 of the rebuttal,
Yeah,
so the board can follow.
yeah. On the property from D7 property management, the letter.
Yeah. So that's a letter that I referred to, so that the board can see it. He has done some renovations to common areas of buildings, such as repainting the halls and replacing the carpeting, so that if you replace the carpeting upon turnover, that's improving the property. You can get better rents. And when I did talk to the property manager, Jean Rooter, she said that the owner was unable to do more renovations due to COVID coming about, and they still intended to fix up the place.
Do you have any of this information confided to you from the property owner himself or herself? Or
No,
is
I
it
got
just
that.
is it just from the property management group?
The financial statements and all that are usually filled in by the property manager, and we went to the property manager. We didn't go to the owner.
Are you aware of what the current state of the property is right now?
No,
Okay, so you don't know if there's been any other upgrades or renovations to the property?
no. All I know is what this letter says, and I've talked to her also. She said, she told me verbally they had replaced some appliances already and a couple of suites, so it's a little bit more than what she says in the letter. But I don't know whether they've replaced all those. They've done more since that letter was written.
Okay, those are all my questions, I guess, regarding the rebuttal.
Thank you. Ms. Wareham, did you have any questions? For
I
Mr.
know mine have been answered. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Mr. Maretsky?
No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
And I also have no questions. Mr. Mikulak, if you would like to give us your rebuttal. This is regarding one property?
Yeah, it was just regarding, like, I think he had touched on just one of the properties at 215 La Vérandre. There was a difference in the cap rate just on how we stabilized it. I just wanted to touch on page 21 of our rebuttal, just how we stabilize the 4-year average of repair and maintenance of 1828 per unit versus an estimate of Altus was at $800 per unit, which made up the bulk of the difference in cap rate. So once you know the sale price, it can kind of skew the it can skew the cap rate higher, and the expense ratio used tends to be a little bit lower when that happens. So I just wanted to show where the differences were when we came up with the 5.01% cap rate compared to the 5.74 from Altus. So we use the actuals of repair and maintenance over 4 years. But outside of that, I guess we don't really have to touch on some of the other ones, as like he said, there's no new builds here. So I think that would just cover where we're coming from on the rebuttal.
All right, I thank you. Mr. Dupont, did you have questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Ms. Warehan, did you have questions?
None, Madam Chair, thank you.
And Mr. Maretsky?
None, thank you.
And I also have no questions. So we will go back to, do either of you have a wish for a summation on this property? I think you were going to say something, Mr. Mikulik, earlier.
Right. So just my summation would be this, and it would be applicable to all the social type housing properties on the docket, is we've already factored in a 30% below market income on this property. And the expense ratios are already reflective of higher than market income. So we feel that that risk has already been encapsulated in the value and wouldn't need a further adjustment to the cap rate also. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DuPont?
Social housing traditionally has higher cap rates because it's the risk of buying a property with lower finish and lower condition and potential capital expenditures required in the future, etc. So you reflect the actual market rent of the property and that condition, but you also have to reflect the risk. So cap rate reflects the risk. It doesn't matter what you did with the rent, what you did with the vacancy. So the cap rate is a measure on its own. It measures the risk. So if it's a really low risk property, like if you had a bond, so had a government bond, you would have a lower income, lower yield than if you were private. So that it just measures the risk. And that's what the cap rate does. And the risk should be measured. And the fact that you have a lower quality income stream, lower quality building physically. Thank you.
Thank you both. We will move on to 132 Merrington Road.
Okay, so we have file number 22-1027, roll number 0309-118-9100, address 132 Merrington, roll year 2023, assessed value 9,719,000, classification 40, liability S, school tax exempt. This is a life lease building. It has two buildings, 3 stories, built in 1998, 59 suites. If you go to page 2, you could see where it's located on Merrington. Close proximity actually to the previous property we talked about on Newdale in the Richmond West area. And then if you go see the page 3, you can see the breakdown of the 9 1-bedroom, 48 2-bedroom, 1 3-bedroom. The average monthly rent per unit we have is $1281.68. You could see where that brings us to our rents at $892.049, and then our expense rate 45.1 to come up with our net operating income of $466,517, cap rate 4.80%. And I would just like to say we do, the way we approach the life leases is just comparing them purely at market. So you can see here on page 4, similar to the prior property, page 4, our weighted average here for CMHC, and then page 5, we're coming in right at market levels, which we feel is appropriate. And you could see that's also held up against other properties that we feel were well enough in line for the income here. Cap rates we had already touched on, and then page 9, it's showing a breakdown of what they're getting per suite, but there's obviously, like with life leases, there's a buy-in amount that people can pay up front to knock down their rents. So, how that gets factored in and what they use it for never really seems to be accounted for when discussing these, which is why we have to go just compare it at market for a property like this. You can see they did provide income and expenses, and you could see how it's well below, but that's again because people pay a fee to buy in to the life lease to bring in lower rents. As you could see on page 9, what they actually pay, you could see the monthly rents are well below market. Now, just showing page 11, people can sell these. So one is listed here, I found for 209,900. You could see what the interior pictures look like of some of these units. So they are pretty basic. They haven't been renovated. Underground parking. But it just gives you an idea, like these are kind of unique, and the building from the exterior seems pretty well maintained. But again, people are paying this price just to get in the door and take over someone's lease. So there is obviously good demand too. There's usually waiting lists for these type of places. So we feel that we're reasonable here with our value, and even though our cap rate may be some will probably say is on the lower end, I don't think I think it is more reflective that it is a good solid apartment. So that would be it for my presentation.
And thank you. Mr. Dupont, questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Ms. Wareham?
Yes, just your comparables on page 4 of your brief. Are all those life lease buildings?
No, I am not sure. They probably aren't life leases because we can't really use the rents. The rents you would see on the comparables 1, 2, 3, and 4 would be rents that were reported to us through income and expense mailers from for-profit properties.
Okay.
Which is just why we have to go to market to show when we're valuing life leases for assessment purposes. We have to just go to market and just say, like, what's the market rent for the region, and then we kind of just go from there with market rents and market level expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Moretsky?
Yes, one question. Just would like to explain a little more about why you chose to go with the low end of your cap rate on page 6. Your multifamily, your lowest at the 20th percentile is 4.8, and that's the one you chose to use. Why did you choose to use that one for this particular property?
Well, the cap rate's model driven. So we would look at it, and I can touch on the fact that it is built in 1998. So it is in a little bit of a newer category. And then also with the area overall too, it being situated in a good area of town, close to a lot of amenities in a good neighborhood. And from an investment standpoint, would be an attractive property for an investment where there's less risk associated from a market perspective.
Okay. That area is considered a high-end area in Winnipeg?
I would say it's a very attractive area for rentals, being close to the university and close to a lot of amenities within, walking distance, short drive, public transportation close by.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Nicolak, You didn't have a chance to inspect the property?
I did not. I'm only basing off what I can see in some of these in the units here that were for
Okay.
sale.
So, did you inspect any of the properties on the docket today? Just,
Yeah, I did not.
all right, thank you. I won't be asking that again.
Okay.
And page 3 of your brief is all model, correct?
That's right.
Okay, and do you know the minimum amount for this building as a life lease to be buying in?
That I wasn't able to get that information.
Okay. I thank you. Mr. Dupont, if you would like to give us your brief.
Yes, in 2018, when we went to the municipal board on a life lease for Fred Douglas Place, and the assessor had been all along using a some kind of interest rate on the minimum fee to go in, added that to actual rents. And the board at that time had ruled that people pay that fee to get a life lease so that they cannot be thrown out. So they and that they would pay rent based on the actual expenses. So landlords cannot increase the rents beyond what the expenses are. So there was a decision and agreement at the hearing that we would not be giving any consideration to the amount that they pay upfront. And so that was not an issue. We just went strictly to market rent at that point in time, or else we use the actual life lease rents because we did not give any extra value for the fact they pay an entrance fee. So on some life leases, we go with the actual rents, and some we accept the assessor's market rent. In this case, we did accept it. But nevertheless, the issue of the entrance fees have been brought up lots of times before it had been settled with the city back in 2018. So that we can look at the photos also at the end, so that I have similar photos. Shows the page 19. Shows the kitchen is just quite plain, outdated flooring. And the bedroom looks pretty small. So it's and the bathrooms are looks like the original and year built, so that they haven't done much to it. So it's still it's a newer property, but it's kind of outdated. It looks good from the exterior, but not as good in the interior. So cap rate, did we start page? Gotta find it. We start on our page 13 with the taxes. We calculate taxes because we use classification 20 residential 2 when it's school exempt. That was also part of the municipal board decisions and agreement we have with the assessor. And the cap rate assessor is 4.8. We're 5.5 based on the age group that it has. So it's 1998 2 stories, and it fits in that age group, 1960 to 1998, 5.5%. Now it says Altus good location. So what we mean by good location is anything but West End and North End. And even the assessor would have argued quite often successfully that the West End is not a poor location, and it merits the same cap rate as other areas. And I believe the assessor is now giving a premium to North End only, and does not give premiums for any other area of the city. So the subject area is not superior to St. James or St. Vital. It's just another area that is not West End or North End. So we don't know what the computer model did. Maybe they had some kind of factor for that. But quite often I've seen cap rates in 5.5 to 6% in the Fort Garry area. So I would say the 4.8 cap rate has little to do with the with the location. So the income approach are page 15. So on top of the page, we show that nonprofit seniors is school exempt, and it's a light lease. Line 13, we accept the actual rents that the city has. Line 3, it shows us $12.82 per suite, so there's relatively high rents, but we accept it. And maybe on this condition, you would not be able to get those high rents, but nevertheless, we accepted it. Then we stabilize the expenses, relatively normal manner. And line 31, our expenses are 408 versus the assessor 388. The taxes, line 30, you can't go with the actual taxes of 80,000. You have to go with the classification 20. So we did that calculations in the pages previously, top of the cap rate page. So that's about 22,000 higher than actual. So the net income, we have 445, which is 20,000 less than the assessor. And that's all in the expense difference. Then we have the cap rate of 5.5 to get about 8,104,000. And then the repair maintenance is on the next page, page 16. Shows first line extraordinary repairs. And we'll have to go to the statements to see what they've done. They don't give too much details, but when we stabilize, we did not allow any of those expenses in our stabilization. They do show some detail expenses here and there, but not much. At the end of the questionnaires, they have some parts and the second page where they ask for other things, and that's where we got the elevator and HVAC. We allowed that. So the second last line, they had very high repair maintenance in 2016, 255,000. We disallowed that. So we did the average excluding the 2016, because 101, which is 1758 per suite. Then if we go just to the appendix, starts on page 27. So it shows the repair maintenance on that page 27, but it's the second page where they would show miscellaneous. So the top versus capital cost summary. So roof windows, heat, they put 00. This is the miscellaneous equipment, 3585, 085. That's I guess the HVAC. And then the prior year would be on page 31. It says miscellaneous equipment again, 119,000. So that's probably HVAC again. And then the page 33, it says HVAC. Not sure exactly what that is. 71,000, I believe. So it appears, and then the page 35 is the furnace, 7,000. So those are mainly for the structural type. It's not for upgrade of the property. And the page 37, they spent money on the parkade. So that's my report, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Michalak. Questions?
Yeah, just so page 16 for the repair and maintenance. I see you excluded 2016, but then 2019, 3,041 per unit. Do you think that should also be excluded as well?
No, we have some high years, some low years. We get 2 low years of 1,000, 1,100 per suite. So they're kind of erratic. So that's why I went with the 4 years. Because we could also exclude the 2 low years to get the average instead. So I did 4 years there.
Would you agree that 3,000 a unit is really quite on the high end?
Yeah, that would be in high end. And the 1,000 would be in the low end. So if you take the average of those two, it's 1,500.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wareham, do you have any questions?
None, thank you, Madam Chair.
And Mr. Moretsky?
Yeah, just getting back to your report on page 15. Specifically line 30, the real estate taxes. Can you walk me through again why you added the 22,000, I think it was, to the real estate tax?
The property is school exempt because this is nonprofit seniors. So we argued from the Board of Revision and the municipal board that if you're going to use market rents, you bump up the rent to market, you should use market taxes. If you were an apartment, you would have the CC20 taxes. And that decision we had in 2018 for Douglas, the assessor agreed and the board agreed that we should use CC20 when it's a school exempt property. So the city has agreed to that also.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Moretsky, it's not under dispute today. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the assessor is not disputing, but the assessor went with expense ratios, and we're going site specific. Yeah, the taxes is something that has been argued for many years, and then we finally established 2018. Both the assessor and Altus and the municipal board agreed they should be normal taxes because we're using market market rents.
Okay. Further questions?
Sorry, Mr. Moretsky, I just didn't hear you.
No further questions, Madam Chair?
Thank you. And Mr. Dupont, my only question is, you didn't inspect this property, correct?
I did not inspect any property today.
All right, thank you. Do either of you have a wish for a summation on this property?
I'm okay. Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right. At this time, we're just going to take a 5-minute break. And I would like to call this meeting back to order, and we are going to go on to item number 4, which is 150 Hendon Avenue. And Mr. Michalak, I see that you have a recommendation on this property.
Yeah, I'll be revising my recommendation to the applicant's value.
Okay. If you would like to begin, read the roll number and
File number 22-2490, roll number 0100092140, and we'll accept the value of the applicant of $6,858,500.
yeah. Could you please state the original value?
The 2023 value?
Yes, your original value of the 7 million.
7,267,000.
Thank you. And so you're recommending 6,858,500.
That's correct.
And that is based on,
The applicant reviewing what they had brought forward.
all right. And Mr. Dupont?
Naturally, I agree with that.
And Ms. Wareham, did you have any questions in regarding this matter?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
And Mr. Moretsky?
I do not. Thank you, ma'am.
I just have one question, Mr. Mikulek. Sorry, and why are you changing your quantum to agree with the applicants?
Just that they had brought forward better information than I had. And we feel that their value is reasonable.
All right, I thank you both. And we'll move on then to 170 Hendon Avenue. Mr. Mikulek, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so we have file number 22-1104, roll number 010009200800. Roll year 2023, assessed value 9,185,000. Classification 20 and G, as this is a Manitoba Housing and Renewal Corporation property. So we have an 8-story building built in 1973 with 151 units. And you could see where it's located on Hendon Avenue, which is just south of Roblin Boulevard in the Varsity View area, close to Assiniboine Park. And south, and then just north of it would be the Assiniboine River. If we go to page 3, we have our income value summary. So the breakdown here, which is 129 bachelor units, 21 one-bedroom, 1 two-bedroom. Average monthly rent per unit coming in at $639.49. You could see where we come up on our total summary to come up with the value using expense ratio of 56.6%. With the net operating income of 486,807 and the capitalization rate of 5.3%. And just further on page 4, just comparing against CMHC, because we can't use reported income and expense information just because it is a Manitoba Housing and Renewal and it is social type housing. So just when we compare the breakdown, we're coming in at, on page 5, we're coming in at 71% of market rent on our model compared to what, say, this like a for-profit would be able to command here. And then just further to that, you could see based on our comparables here on page 4, just where it kind of just falls below other reported for-profit rents in the area. So, you know, we feel that, again, similar to the prior properties discussed today, that we've come in well below market again on this one. And we feel reasonable in line to where the value is with this property. So that would conclude my presentation for today.
I thank you. Mr. DuPont, questions?
So the cap rate on this is 5.3%. That's computer derived also.
That's correct.
So is this considered a good location?
Correct. I would say it's a good location, but.
Okay, that's all questions I have.
You, Ms. Wareham, questions?
None at the moment, thank you.
And Mr. Moretsky?
I have none, thank you.
So I just have one question regarding your cap rate. So this is sitting at 5.3.
Yep.
And model?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, because you spoke to the previous properties we've heard this afternoon, that are also social housing that are below market, but the cap rate was lower than this one and they're the same age, et cetera. And I'm just wondering if you can speak to that.
Same age. I know the one that had the lower cap was a 1998 build, and this is a 1973. And then the other one, there may have been another one on the docket.
Yes, it was 1976.
Right, which property was that? If I'm just trying to jog my memory
That was
here.
item number 2.
Right, 21 New Dale, right. So, but that cap rate, I believe, I don't know off the top of my head what it was, but it might have been over 5. So, I don't know, like, I still think here from a cap rate perspective, I don't see that we're too out of line, again, considering where we are on way below income.
All right. I thank you. Mr. Dupont, if you would like to proceed with your brief, please.
Yeah, so you see the first page photo. Did you see the open windows would indicate it has no air conditioning? The suite mix, 129 bachelors out of 100 to 151 suites total. So it's a lot of bachelors. So it's inferior suite mix. Then in the second photo shows some more open windows indicating no air conditioning. Now the area map, we have the first map, page 8, and then the second map shows where it is towards the west end of Charleswood. Relatively good condition. Now there's an article in the newspaper. I just want to read it verbally, or parts of it. 2016 report by the Free Press saying the property was plagued by drug, violence, and prostitution. Multiple housing told the Free Press they had 98 security calls in 1 year, and the police said they had countless calls also to this property. It doesn't say, but it's likely due to the gangs being in there. So that's part of social housing problems also they could have, so that the quality of the tenants may not be that good. Even though it's in Charleswood, it also has problems with safety and criminal activity. So the page 14 for the cap rate. So for this property, age group 1973 age stories, it falls to our cap rate story 5.5%. And I would remind you of the cap rate study that we had 10 comparables, and the assessor had recalculated cap rates for our cap rates, and they had come very close to our cap rate, except one property, 215 La Vérendrye. And that property itself is page 84 and page 87 on our cap rate study. And it says that the vendor pro forma says that many upgrades, including storm doors, and eaves troughs. And so I stabilized at less than actual reported repair maintenance because it included some capex. And the assessor is using the 4-year average, including capex. So there's a disagreement in the calculation of that cap rate, but I believe the assessor is wrong to include capex in that calculation. So after we adjust that particular cap rate, we would be, the assessor would be virtual agreement to our cap rate, the 5.5% for the age group. So for this property, there's site-specific factors. The condition quality is social housing, budget finishes. Parking is inferior, it's only 23% parking. Suite size is small, and GFA is very low at 556 square feet. That's including corridors. You have corridors, so the suites would be less than 556 square feet. Suite mix, inferior, 85% bachelors, 14% one bedroom, 1% two bedroom. No air conditioning, no amenities. And then, as I told you verbally, problem with criminal activity in the building. So we give it a 5.5% premium due to negative factor, which a lot of it is the physical composition of this building. Nobody sees small suites, mainly bachelors. So then the page 16 is our income approach. You see it's a very shortened income approach because we dispute cap rate only. So we accept the assessor's rent, we accept the assessor's expenses and net income. So they have a 5.2% cap rate, we use 6%. So our value is 8,113,000. The negative factor are shown at the top right of this page. And in the appendix, we do have the municipal board decisions on this. And I realize the board said you will not rely on any other decision in the past, but nevertheless, municipal board, superior board, if it's appealed further, it's likely the municipal board will have the same type of decision, give a premium to this. And I know we have settled at the municipal board with the assessor at premiums. So premium for social housing is a thing. It exists, and it's something we should be considering. So I thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Michalak, questions?
I think just my questions, I guess I had asked previously on these type of housing properties regarding cap rate be applied to this one.
Thank you. Ms. Warehan, questions?
Just one, he referred to an article from the newspaper depicting the type of housing in the area. Is that in your brief here at all? Did I miss it?
No, I'm giving it verbally. I don't want to give too much negative information on this property in writing.
Okay, Madam Chair, are we allowed to consider the information without it being presented in this brief?
I was actually going to speak to Mr. DuPont, but regarding that, Mr. DuPont, it wasn't in your brief. And was this article was not in regards to this property? So I'm going to say
no, it was directly regarding to this property.
Right, but we're hearing a specific property. So
I'm giving verbal evidence. Verbal evidence should be admitted. The amount of weight you give to it, it's up to you.
Exactly.
But it should not be disallowed because it's verbal. And I'm just saying it's verbal. And I don't want to have a written record of this at the hearing. That's why I'm giving it verbally.
Thank you. Did you have further questions?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Moratsky?
You mentioned that there was criminal activity in this building. And that's going to affect the cap rate. That was your argument?
No, it's not listed as one of my reasons. My reasons are mainly social housing and the physical composition, which is the small suite size, a lot of bachelors and no air conditioning. This is just something extra that I found out, and I'm just telling you verbally. And it's so the cap rate difference is not based on that. I would give it a 0.5% premium without that article.
Okay. That's exactly the clarification I was looking for. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. And I have no questions. Do either of you have a wish for a summation on this property?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Mr. DuPont?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Well, then we will move on to 5419 Roblin Boulevard.
Okay, so we have file number 22-1468, roll number 01009 602705, roll year 2023, assessed value 1,748,000. That is 40S, and then there's also a vacant land portion because they have greater land than the exemption allows for. So there's a 990,040 T fully taxable also as well. And so we have a one-story apartment, effective year built 1960, or actual year built, effective year built are the same, 1965, 22 suites. And you could see where it's located on Roblin, just south on the, or sorry, on the north side of Roblin Boulevard. And that is just, well, the north of, the Assiniboine River is north of where it's located. So it's on the riverside of Roblin. And then if we scroll down to page 3, the income value summary, so you could see our breakdown here. 9 bachelor, 13 one bedroom, average monthly rent per unit, $723.37. You could see our income value workup, where we come out to a net operating income of $89,139, capitalization rate 5.10%, to come up with the total value of the 40S of 1.748. And then just regarding the comparable rents, you could see where we fall in line with other properties in the area. And then further to that, the same weighted analysis done showing that we're on page 5, 30% again below market on the income. So we're well below on the income for this property. And just going forward to page 9, I had shown it's a senior citizens rental. So it says located in Assiniboine South, Swedish Canadian home, single story property featuring array of amenities for residents, including multi-purpose room, exercise equipment area, library, cable TV in a common area, close to bus routes, parks, and the Assiniboine River. And then just provided some pictures that I was able to gather from their website just to show, maybe depict some condition of the property for the board. But we don't use the income and expenses on a property like this just because it falls outside the line of a for-profit. So we compare the income, we're well below market. Expenses are already, we're 51.78%. And so again, we feel reasonable with the value placed on this property.
I thank you. Mr. Dupont, questions?
The photos you have at the end, it shows it kind of plain finish in that kitchen.
Yeah, basic finishes, I guess.
And you add the land value, $990,000. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you have any comparables for that?
You know what? I've been under a time crunch to get these in on time, these briefs. So I didn't want to hand anything in late, and I wasn't able to look into the land portion.
Have you looked at my brief? Can I ask you whether you agree with my value on the land?
You know what? I really haven't had a chance to dig into what your brief says.
Okay, when I present my brief, if you ever agree with the land, just let the board know.
Okay.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Ms. Wareham, do you have any questions?
None, thank you.
Mr. Moratsky?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Michalak, again, your brief is model driven, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dupont, if you would like to give us your brief.
Yeah, so page one shows built 1965, 9 bathrooms, 31 bedrooms, so relatively small. But has a lot of land for that. So the assessment shows 990 for land, and we're asking for 537. It's a big reduction, but it matches what we got for 2020. And then the building itself, 1748 to 1550, so we're asking a smaller reduction on that. We showed a photo, so it's a 1-story, so kind of spread out. A motel style, I guess. Not really motel, I guess it's a 1-story. And it shows the lawn it has, and that's from, I believe, from Roblin. Then we have the aerial photo. It shows where it is. So we have some land on Roblin, the bottom of the photo. Then we have some land on top. Then we can go to the next few pages. I'm scrolling through the pages now. So page 9 gives the aerial photo there. That's from the city website. And you see there's a little bit of parking there. On the top, open area at the bottom. And the next page shows where it is, the Google map. I'm scrolling again. Excess lands, I start that on page 15. So value of the excess lands over 2 acres is 1.8 acres. So the assessor has a 1253 per square foot for 990,000. So excess lands, anything over the 2 acres, which is deemed to be exempt for school taxes, is taxed at the full commercial tax. Now, there's been some cases where it come in the past where we look at the excess lands as to where it is, and if it's facing the river, is just going downwards, it's unusable land, then would be 0 value, just because it's in excess of the allowable land doesn't mean it has any value. But nevertheless, on this one, we're saying you need 8 feet side yards. So it's possible we could subdivide this land and the excess land sold separately. And because of that, the assessor gives it some value. It's in 2 parts though, to the north of the property and to the south. The vacant land abutting the property at 5429 Robin sold in 2016 at 1368 per square foot. And then the city shows it as a condo is now not yet assessed. So that property to the north, just north of subject, bought some land just from the subject, I believe itself. So the subject lands decrease in size. So we're saying that subject value should be half of that, 685 per square foot, because it should be half because the subject has not legally been subdivided, but have to be subdivided in 2 parcels that are relatively narrow. So the front portion would be 78 feet by 359. So it'd be very difficult to develop something with that dimension. And the rear portion would be 98 feet by 359. Anyways, we do the calculations, excess land 3.8, less than 2 acres exempt, it'd be 78,408 square feet. At 685 per square foot is 537 per square foot. And that's the exact same calculations I have for 2020, and the Board of Revision agreed with me, and we appealed the municipal board, and the assessor agreed with me at the municipal board. And I have that in the appendix. Now, the next page is I had done the calculations for this parcel. So if we did the 2 acres surrounding the building in the parking lot, see the bottom of the building there, it says require a side yard, so that it's basically impossible. You would have to go further so that if they sold this parcel, it would be less 7 feet for a side yard, would be 78 feet. So that would be too narrow to develop. It'd be so many feet depth on one side. Be very difficult. And the north parcel, it was 143 feet, but after they sold to 5429 Robin, it was down to 98 feet after the replot. And that's too narrow to develop. And can't be developed on its own. And the only market would be if the property north of it would want more land. So it's a very limited market. So it says under the notes they sold 45 feet to 5429 Robin, and it shows the sale price on that page, 1370 per square foot. And we show the dimensions on the next page, how I calculated that. And then the page after that is 5429 Robin. After they bought land from the subject, they're able to get the road into their properties. And I guess it's still being developed as condos because there's no assessment on it yet. So the cap rate, the assessor is using 5.1%. And we're saying it should be 5.75. So for this age group, subject property would be 5.5% as per our cap rate study. Then there's site-specific factors for a subject is the parking is only 82%, which is not bad. But the gross floor area is small, at 720 square feet per suite. That's including their extra room, like the kitchen and lounges, etc. Suite mix is inferior, 41% bachelors, 59% one bedroom. So we allow 0.25% premium due to the negative factors. The next page, page 21, sorry, income approach. It does show some actual expenses, etc. Relatively high, line 31, where we accepted the assessor's expenses and we accept the assessor's rents also. So we dispute the cap rate only on this part. So when you apply 5 3/4 cap rate, we get a value of 1,550,243. And then we have the excess lands over 2 acres. We add that on top of the value of the subject property. We went through that, 537. And it says on the far right, the 2021 Board Revision and the Municipal Board settlement agreed to 537 per square foot. So the assessor had agreed to the 537 when it came to the Municipal Board. We have some comments in that regards. And we can go to the appendix. The board revision decision shown on page 28. That was me with Assessor Matthew Barakis, and you see the board there on page 29. You came to the value of 537 for the land. And
Mr.
then,
DuPont, Mr.
yes.
DuPont, I'm just going to ask you again, please. Can you please stop referring to previous board orders? Thank you.
I don't think it's proper for the board to ask that. You can say you won't give any weight, but any decision about 537, I appeal to the municipal board because I know the municipal board has agreed to that and the assessor has agreed to that. Extremely important that 537 is well established by previous orders and previous settlements. I don't think it's right for you to say to remove that. I tend to go with the board and not show previous decision except when it's important. And I believe this time it's important. So I'll finish my report at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mikulik, did you have any questions?
Just looking here, page 15 with the excess land, the 537,000, like, so you went at 50% of market sales?
Of the market rent, the market sale, the one sale above subject, yeah.
Okay, so that value of 685 per square foot is 50% of 1368, right? I'm trying to think of the math.
Yes,
Okay, so just wouldn't you agree though that there should be some time adjustments applied as it was 5 years ago? And land rates, in general have gone up. And again, I'm not saying that 50% for excess land is bad. I'm just having trouble staying with 685 per square foot when it's from 2016 and we're disputing 2023.
it's an oddball piece of land. It would be difficult to develop. And I don't think a time adjustment is necessary.
Okay, I mean, all right. And then just regarding the 40S, I'm just going to ask that my questions again from cap rate be applied from previous properties.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Those are all my questions.
Ms. Wareham, did you have any questions?
None at this time, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Moretsky?
No, my question was asked by the assessor, so I do not have any questions.
Thank you. I also have no questions in regards to this. Do either of you have a wish for summation on this property?
I'm okay. Thank you.
Mr. Dupont?
No, thank you.
All right. We will move on to 1255 Grant Avenue. And whenever you're ready, Mr. Michalak.
Yeah, just let me find it here. Okay. So we have file number 22-941, roll number 120-157-13500. And I know I don't have it on here, but again, after reviewing the applicant's evidence, I'd be willing to accept their requested value as being reasonable. We are on agreement on the cap rate, and it's just some odds and differences with the net operating income, but I would be willing to agree to their request.
Would that be in regard to expenses?
Just let me bring it up for one more second. Let me just, yeah. So when we look at it here, yeah, like just coming in when I look at how they stabilized to how I went and stabilized, and we're at the same cap rate. I don't think it's unreasonable to accept their request of 214 million.
All right. And Mr. Dupont?
I agree with that. Yes.
All right. So you're willing to accept your request of 6,214,000?
That's correct.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Wareham, did you have any questions in regards to this?
None, thank you.
Mr. Moretsky?
I do not, thank you.
I thank you both. We will move on to 3201 Grant Avenue.
Okay. Okay, so we got file number 22-3157, roll number 0100119800, roll year 2023, assessed value 9,142,000, classification 20, liability is T taxable. We have a 3-story apartment built in 1974, but an effective year built of 1985 due to some renovations that were recently done to the property. And I'll touch on that as you'll see. Number of suites is 60. And if you look at the location over on page 2, so you could see it's located just north of Grant Avenue by, you know what, I can't see the name of that road, but it's in the Varsity View neighborhood, just very close to Assiniboia Park. So close proximity to the last property that we discussed. Income value summary, as you could see here, the way we have our breakdown is it's a bachelor. They got 9 bachelors, 31 bedroom, 21 2-bedroom for a total of 60 units. Our average monthly rent we have is $1176.58. And then you could see our workup to get a net operating income of $447,982 with a capitalization rate of 4.9%. And the overall value of 9.142 million. So because this property was recently renovated, you can see I had brought forward some comparables here. Comparable number 1, 3, and 4 were renovated. So you could see where we fall in line with those rents. And they are close to similar type of unit breakdowns. Now, if you scroll down to page 8, the statement of earnings that would have been used, that we could use that weren't post-reference, wouldn't reflect the new values. So these values here of 2019 and 2020 aren't reflective of the permit that was pulled in over on page 9 in 2021. So they had a permit pulled in August 27, 2021, and it was removal and replacement of all existing windows, patio doors, building entrance doors, including repairs and restoration of all exterior balcony decks and replacement of the balcony guardrails. And then further on page 10, you could see there was complete fire stopping details to allow for installation of gas-fired water heaters to be installed in place of the existing electrical heaters, etc. So that income that's here wouldn't be reflective of, say, the work that has been done since then. And you could see on page 11, I provided the subject property here. I know there's rents there, but again, that's post-reference, but I just wanted to get a picture. Does show vacancy. There's a waiting list for the 2-bedroom, some vacancy on the 1-beds. You could see the pictures inside to show that it has been updated over on the bottom of page 12 and on to page 13. And then onto page 14, I had provided the comps. So comp number 1, you could see the explanation from the website just saying recently renovated suites at Parkland Square, include in-suite laundry, designer carpets, modern kitchens, etc. Comp number 3, Vialu Village. You could see here again that that's also been updated. And then comp number 4, Lanark Tower is another one that if you read the description, you would find that has also been renovated. So we feel like with the new income stream that is in place, that we're reasonable here. And I know that won't match up to the reported 2019 and 2020, but when we're faced with a situation like this where a property has undergone updates, but it's not reflected in their income statements, all we can do is compare it to other rents in the area of similar properties to just give us the validation that we're reasonable on our value.
Mr. Nicola?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you just froze there for a moment.
Did you hear any of my presentation?
Yes, no, you just froze at the end.
Okay. Okay.
That's fine. Mr. DuPont, questions?
When did you give it an effective age?
So it was done, I guess, by someone in our department this year. They had gone through looking at open permits, and for 2023, before the notices went out, they updated the property record.
So was it assessed as renovated or not?
For 2023, it was, but we could have issued a supplemental for 2022 on this property, but we didn't. We just decided to carry it to 2023.
So whatever renovations you're talking about is captured in the value because you did not increase the value whatsoever. Is that correct?
Okay, sorry, can you say that again?
The 2023 assessment was not changed because of that, or it included whatever renovations you had?
No, the 2023 assessment, that is reflective of the renovations at hand.
Okay. Now, the renovations that you have shown there, are they not just all structural? Nothing to the suites themselves?
The permits are structural, however, the suites appear like they've all been modernized as well. So they had over $1 million added into this property. So I would imagine that that's definitely worth something, is it not?
Where did you show this $1 million?
The permit number 9, the cost on it was 1,059,698 on page 9, and then it was I believe another $1 million for declared construction value for on page 10.
Okay, so that this is it's not $1 million in excess of these structural improvements. So that when you say the photos indicate the suites have been renovated, but that's not indicated in these the building permits whatsoever. Is that correct?
Well, I would indicate that they don't need permits to necessarily just replace flooring and kitchen countertops and that with new items. That kind of stuff doesn't need a permit unless you're actually installing new plumbing in terms of running it somewhere new, but replacing and modernizing flooring, cabinetry, the bathroom, those don't require permits. But yeah, the structural things go along with it.
Yeah, but you mentioned the suites are upgraded and you mentioned 1 million, but the million is nothing to do with the photos of the suites because the 1 million is strictly for structural. And you have no proof as to how much was gone in the suite upgrades and as to when it happened. Do you know when the suite upgrades happened? Was it done upon turnover over the last few years, or they actually done the same time as these permits?
So that would be the assumption that I would place on that, is it was done when this work was being done.
It's an assumption.
Correct.
And you could have issued a supplement. You did not. You actually said your valuation includes those improvements, the structural ones, and your assumed suite upgrades. That's correct.
Sorry, say that again.
Okay, never mind. It's too long. Anyways,
like the effective age, so when we place an effective age on the building like this, doing structural alteration work to the degree that was done warrants an effective age, because you are then extending the economic life of the building. Wouldn't you agree to that?
No, structural.
Okay.
You change the roof. The roofs have to be changed every 20-25 years. So the change the roof recently means nothing. We've gone to municipal board in the past saying it needed a roof and therefore we should deduct the cost of the roof. And the board said we're not going to deduct or add anything for the roof. These are structural things that don't need to be done. The Courts of St. James just spent hundreds, maybe millions of dollars changing the plumbing because the cast iron had to be changed. When we went to municipal board, we showed all these huge structural improvements. We did not, nobody argued, not even the assessor argued that we should add those costs, these structural changes to the value. It's something that had to be done. So now they just changed stuff. I don't believe it increases the value whatsoever.
Okay, so you don't, so just to clarify, there is pictures showing that the suites have been modernized. You don't think that that warrants effective age is what you're saying?
If all the suites were done all at one time, what some suites have been done where they're totally renovated and absolutely all suites are done at the same time, yes, I would agree that increases the value over the pre-renovated state. When it was done on a gradual basis, it does not.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what the rents are gonna look like for 2021 then, which we won't discuss today, but
Yeah, I'm saying if you review later on, if you want to issue a supplement, that's fine. But as for this particular hearing, I believe we have to use the actual rents we have in place.
I I mean, I'll disagree. I think we're fine where we are, but I'll let the board decide.
I thank you. Any further questions, Mr. Dupont?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Warehouse, did you have any questions?
None, thank you.
Mr. Moratsky?
Yes, well, the cap rate of 4.9%. Can you just briefly explain how you arrived at that amount?
It is a model-driven capitalization rate. And then would reflect it would take into account, I guess, the type of property that it is, like it's not a high rise, it's a 60 unit, and then, the overall neighborhood, and then with the effective, the upgrades added in, so.
Okay, so it would fall under multi-family then on your chart, page
all the
5.
upgrades added in, so. Pardon me?
Yeah, if you
Page
refer
5?
to your page 5
Right, correct.
study,
Yeah.
it is falling on the low end of your range, 20 to 80th percentile.
Right, so it would basically be saying that a property like this would garner greater demand and a premium because of the state of the property, with it being more modern. It's had those, a lot of those structural improvements have been done and taken care of. So on the marketplace, you'd be able to get greater demand. There's less risk associated with this building because a lot of those improvements have now been taken care of.
Right. Okay, and then with the effective year built, let me just preface this question by saying I understand the concept. I would just like you to briefly explain how you arrive at that number 1985. You don't have to go through the whole science, just some points how that's arrived at.
Yeah, so I didn't do this particular property in terms of applying these. It was done by someone else in the department, but really what it comes down to is it's a judgment process in appraisal that someone would try to come up with a reasonable estimation of how the property's economic life has been extended further than the original build. So it's not like an exact science and a formula, but what we do is the judgment is placed on what the effective year build should be, and then we kind of match up and say, okay, does this make it acceptable where it's falling in with other rents of properties that are renovated? Because you have to have some basis of comparison, right? So you would end up having to go to the market to try to estimate that.
So the model doesn't do that. It isn't involved in that process at all. Somebody would punch that into the model, correct?
Well, I don't, again, I'm not a modeler, so I don't know exactly how they do their line items of an assessment model, but it would take into account of pulling other comparable properties that have been renovated when you're requesting to compare it against a certain rental range.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for that. No further questions.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mikulek, just want to be clear on this. Your the renos that took place, because you've got the 2 permits, correct?
Correct.
But the permits are speaking to sort of exterior work, balconies, etc. Heaters, gas heaters, electrical heaters, etc. Correct? They're not, those permits are not speaking to any sort of remodeling in the suites, correct?
They are not. However, I wouldn't dismiss the value associated to the property itself with those things done. Like that just can't be dismissed.
No, I'm not suggesting
Okay.
dismiss, but I'm just looking at, I see your pictures of the suites on pages, 12 and 13. And I'm just wondering when they were renoed.
Yeah, I don't have that information on hand.
And were they all renoed? That's my other questions.
So I would say my guess would be yes, but I don't have a firm answer, just judging by the rents that are being commanded.
Okay. Mr. DuPont, if you would like to give us your brief, please.
Okay, so I lost my brief again. So what's the address again?
3201 Grant Avenue.
Yeah, for some reason I lost it again. Okay, so I got it. Start page 1. Shows a photo, the exterior photo, walk up with balconies. I guess we maybe should go to the appendix. So what we got from the internet, which was recent, this ad shows the features, air conditioning, balconies, dishwasher, etc. It has the plans that it has. Type A is only 398 square feet. It's a bachelor studio, so it's very small. That's not the map. I mean, the layout is not the bachelor, but I mean I guess it was mixed, but the bachelor's are only 398 square feet. And then the next one's 595 square feet for the 1 bedroom. So we'll see dining room is very small, 9 feet by 8 feet. Master bedroom, not that big. So the suites are small. So the 1 bedroom is at 595 square feet. Then they have a type C 2 bedroom, 788 square feet. There again, the bedrooms are small. The 1 bedroom, one of the bedrooms only 8 feet wide. Kitchens are small, 8 feet by 8 feet. Dining room is extremely small, 7 by 7. The photos indicate right up to that, so that the Sorry, my phone's going on. I have to put my phone on silent. So the photo shows that they've replaced some of the flooring, that some stainless steel appliances. But Phoenix or Globe General does that every property they have. They do that on a turnover basis. So the photos they show. So the one photo shows the kitchen, the little corner there, so it's not that big of a kitchen. So then we have the maps after that, and then the cap rate. So subject built 1960 and 1998, 1 to 5 stories. So that's 5.5 cap rate for our cap rate study for that age group. And as I showed in the rebuttal, our own cap rate, the assessor's rebuttal indicates their cap rate recalculation of our cap rate are basically the same as ours. Site specific factors: suite size is small suite, small sizes, and narrow bedrooms on all the suites. We don't give it a premium for suite layouts and the suite sizes. We just say 5.5 cap rate. The income approach, page 15. Shoulder rents are line 3, potential gross rents. So by 2020, the rents were some in 19, which is $1,000 per suite. So I showed age is 1974, and maybe I missed that the assessment was now 1982, 85, or whatever. Nevertheless, the rents are relatively high at $1,000 per suite for especially small bedrooms like that. And the suite mix have 9 bachelors, 31 bedroom, only 21 2-bedroom. So suite mix is towards 1 bedroom and bachelors, so they're relatively small. They're gaining $1,000 a suite by 2020 before those supposed structural improvements in 2021. And so that's what we use. So then the expenses are shown. Line 31, we have less expenses than the assessor. We have 345,000. So our disagreement is mainly in the effective gross income, line 13. We are 743, the assessor is 820. And then we disagree on the cap rate. So the assessor is 4.9, we're 5.5. The repair maintenance, line 27, and we have a breakdown for the years 2016 to 2020. Shows there that very little extraordinary repairs for those years. The flooring replacement was relatively low. Appliance replacement was relatively low. Painting was at the max, and we disallowed 1 year for high plumbing, and we stabilized at 1447 per suite. So the value after applying 5.5 cap rate, 7,226. I don't think it's right for the assessor to surprise us at a hearing with the post-reference data on structural improvements or building permits for that matter. Anytime that happens, they should be looking at a supplement, not to bring it up at a hearing. At the hearing, we're going with the 2020 income. We don't know what the 21, 22 income, if these structural upgrades were done in 2021, the rents would be 2022. That's after reference year. So I don't think it's fair for you surprise things at the board post-reference for that matter. So we disagree with the rents mainly in the cap rate. We're going at 2020 rents. And the value is 7,226,000. If they do find to have a higher value because of these structural upgrades, they can issue a supplement. That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dupont. Mr. Michalak?
So just a question here on page 15. The vacancy. So Would you agree that this property has greater demand, being that it looks well below market vacancy?
It's 1.6 versus 3.2 is half of the vacancy that you allow, yes.
So it is have greater demand, even though it does contain maybe small bachelor suites and small 1-bedrooms. Would you agree that that's not affecting the demand?
It's not affecting the vacancy. They're getting 1,000 per suite for those small suites built in the 70s. So they're getting relatively high rent, but they're not suffering with vacancy because of that.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Ms. Warehan. Any questions?
None, thank you.
Mr. Moretsky?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dupont? I extend apologies to you. I did not catch the date on those permits.
Oh, I don't show that. It's the assessor's evidence. His evidence shows he had permits in 2021, I believe was after the reference date.
Yeah, but I think it's August.
Yeah, I believe it's August, yes.
Yeah.
So I did not take that into account because it was after the reference date.
And I have no questions to you, Mr. Dupont, in regards to your brief. I thank you. Do either of you have a wish for a summation on this property?
Yeah, I would just like to give summation to clarify this issue of post-reference. Just because a permit date is after the reference date, we are still in the 2023 assessment year. So we can still place a value on a property even though the permit may be after the reference date, as long as we're basing our comparison with properties that are before the reference date. So you could see I had provided the income comparable rents, stating that those rents were from properties that were before the reference date to reflect that our upgrades are still accurate and in line with market on an income level. Thank you.
I thank you. That's noted, Mr. Mikulik. Mr. Dupont?
Yes, any information after reference date is not admissible. The assessor wants to give a supplement because of these things, they can do so. And then they still have to go with market rents before the reference date. The comparables that they had, they said they were renovated, like 555 Lanark. I am totally aware that the property was totally renovated. All the suites inside the suites were renovated, and the subject is just structural improvement. It's totally different. So there's comparables that he has. Our properties are suite renovations, whereas the subject is structural, so that it's improper for him to use those comparables. And normally we go with site-specific rents, because comparables are all over the place because they have all those site-specific factors each property has. I don't think we should rely on native-based comparables. Thank you.
Thank you both. We have heard all the items on the docket this afternoon. So this hearing is adjourned. And I would like to thank you, Mr. Mikulik, for your briefs this afternoon, and Mr. Dupont also, thank you. Both of you for your time and patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.